Conspiracy theories. While us commoners usually accept the reality that we're presented with, sometimes when we hear stories, one or two elements sound coincidental to say the least. Some people completely reject all conspiracy theories, saying that there are perfectly rational explanations behind them all, whereas others are more susceptible to them, and think that they actually have legs to stand on. And in this video, we're going to be going over the weirdest, the stupidest, and the craziest conspiracy theories that the internet has to offer. So put on your tinfoil hats and let's get into this thing. This is the weirdest conspiracy theory iceberg explained. So let's start off lighthearted and work our way down. The first conspiracy theory that we'll be ticking off this list is vaccines, which is very topical right now. Now, weirdly enough, there's a lot to unpack with this one. Back in the day, we had a first wave of anti-vaxxers who thought that vaccines caused autism in like 1 in 110 children because of a study conducted back in the day, which has since been pariahed by the scientific community. As Penn and Teller proved in their skit about vaccines, even if vaccines caused autism in 1 in every 110 children, which again, the science backs that it does not, the effects of polio, meningitis, measles, mumps, rubella, flu, and hepatitis massively outweigh the effects of that. However, that first wave was kind of in and around society, being quite mocked up until COVID-19, since which, and please let me know in the comments if I'm misinterpreting things, I've seen a bunch of people say that Bill Gates is going to use the vaccine to track people using a microchip. Now, maybe this is me being a brainwashed sheep, but if you really think that you're interesting enough for the second richest man in the world to be tracking you, then you are deluded. Like, these people are seriously trying out for James Bond or something. So this is the new wave of anti-vaxxers, the Bill Gates boogaloo I like to call them. Either way, that the vaccine conspiracy theories are well known, and to be fair, not very weird, because being injected with something you know nothing about is just cause for a moderate amount of skepticism, just people take it a bit too far. Do you know about the McDonald's soft serve conspiracy? The likelihood is that you do. But weirdly enough, even though it's a common punchline these days, the McDonald's soft serve conspiracy wasn't really common knowledge until around 2016. The theory is that McDonald's workers tell you that the ice cream machine is broken, especially near closing time, because they don't want to have the hassle of cleaning it up. There was even a Wired article that came out as recently as 4/20 this year that said that the manufacturers of the McDonald's ice cream machines make extremely good high-tech ice cream machines that can get the distinct formula of McDonald's ice cream down to a T, so that when the ice cream is made, it's delicious and always correct. To add to this, it doesn't need to be cleaned very often. However, it's extremely complex by design, so that McDonald's have to frequently call them up to fix it. So there are many theories as to why you can't get your McFlurry. Are any of them valid? I don't know. I once worked at a place where I had to serve ice cream from a machine, and we too frequently couldn't make them because on hot days when everyone's just lined up to get one, the machine can't get the texture right. They would come out too watery and you'd have to leave it for a bit for the machine to churn and get that thickness correct. So perhaps. Although I think it should also be known that if people were asking for an ice cream with like 2 minutes to close and I had like a 9-hour shift, I would just say that I'm cleaning it. So who really knows? Blank controls the media. Traditionally, it's Jews. Conservatives say that it's liberals. Liberals say that it's conservatives. Some people even say it's the elites. Let's be fair. Control of the media is a very big job because, forget influencers, they can only influence their own followers. And they never even do that very well because who wants to get influenced by an influencer? No. The oligopolies at the top control the media, not by force, but because we let them. Disney, Warner, Sony, Viacom, CBS, NBC Universal, each of which we fork over money to every time we want to see basically any movie that's ever come out, buy any record of any popular artist that we listen to, buy any PS4 game, buy any sports game on ESPN, watch any Disney throwback episode, or even buy merch from our favourite shows. It would be nice to have a more democratised playing field up at the top of the game, especially with these companies eating each other up in recent years. The rich keep getting richer. Is there a Simpsons-style group of the 0.01% ultra elite that try to brainwash us with their harmful propaganda sown throughout their media? Perhaps, even though it is unlikely. If you're watching the news, for example, I'd recommend doing just the slightest bit of work and trying to find out the bias that the news station is known for before you scream that someone's controlling the media. But even so, say YouTube, for example, is a huge form of media these days, and while the almighty hand of Susan Wojcicki could smite me at any moment, I'm free to say what I want when I want. Bash your into your mouth, and then I'm just gonna leave you there with nothing to in your out of me. So the media conglomerates are wild, right? Let's go back to the roots of this channel and speak about Disney one more time, shall we? This is only going to be a small entry, but there's a theory out there that Disney created the movie Frozen in order to hide the theory that Walt Disney was frozen from showing up in search results. As if that would stop anything. Like, there it is, right there. Just add Walt. Also, everyone already knows about the theory that Walt Disney was frozen, so it's not like it would be hidden from everyone. The cat's out of the bag. If he's frozen, we all know about it, Bob Iger. Stop trying to hide it. The butterfly effect is something that I've wanted to cover on my channel for a while now, but I'm not really too sure why it's on the iceberg that I'm looking at, but either way, it's an interesting theory, even if it's not so much of a conspiracy. If you're unaware of the butterfly effect, it's a metaphor for chaos theory, in which a series of loosely related circumstances, something as small and insignificant as a butterfly flapping its wings, can have devastating effects such as a typhoon. If you're a sitcom fan like I am, both How I Met Your Mother and Community both have very good episodes covering this theory in one form or another, with actions unknowingly affecting future outcomes. I think an easy to digest example of this is the cause of World War I. Now, history scholars among us will be aware of this, but in case you're not, there was a plot to kill Archduke of Austria-Hungary Franz Ferdinand when he was driving around Sarajevo. The plot was carried out by Gavrilo Princip and some other anarchists, but it went wrong. After the attempt, Princip went for a sandwich. However, the driver of the car made a wrong turn, and the Archduke happened to turn down the same road that Princip was on, who proceeded to fire a single shot at the Archduke, killing both him and the Duchess. This led Austria to declare war on Serbia, Russia to declare war on Austria, Germany to declare war on Russia, and then Great Britain and France to declare war on Germany, after which the Allies won, wrote the Treaty of Versailles, and accidentally created the perfect breeding ground for Nazism, which rocked the world for the next few years. The Second World War ended in 2 nuclear blasts to Nagasaki and Hiroshima, and this set the stage for the Cold War, and that allowed everything to happen after. If that driver didn't take the wrong turn, you wouldn't be born, because the world is so inconceivably different after the wars of the 20th century. So next time you're feeling existential perhaps, just remember that you were born because Princip wanted a BLT after an attempted assassination and then hit the jackpot. William Shakespeare is the most famous author and playwright of all time. Romeo and Juliet, Hamlet, Othello, the Scottish play. He supposedly gave us so many of the world's most iconic stories that have been the skeleton for many recent narratives since. And that's the naked truth. Come what may, he's credited with inventing over 1,700 words. He invented the knock-knock joke and the phrase "in a pickle." Despite this, many believe that Shakespeare in his heart of hearts did not create all of his plays. There was foul play involved. A sorry sight if it's true. Can one desire too much of a good thing? Many believe that Edward de Vere, Christopher Marlowe, Sir Francis Bacon and William Stanley were the real authors. Many even believe that they worked together to form the Oxford Syndicate, a very cool name to mask the deceit of this arch-villain. Shakespeare's entire family was illiterate, and there's no evidence to support that his offspring could read or write either. So is William Shakespeare the greatest fraud in history? It can't be said for sure, but I'll try to pose an argument that firstly, Shakespeare didn't get as famous as he is now until much after his death, and he was clearly an outside-of-the-box thinker even if you doubt that he was literate. And maybe this is just a modern day version of thinking, but his stories, whilst iconic, at their core were very simplistic, which makes them very relatable and timeless. Having said that, it would be near impossible to ever fully find out unless we find some sort of document in Stratford-upon-Avon which proves that he was a fraud. So far we haven't, and so I'm inclined to believe that he did write them all, even if he did get a bit of help here or there, but come to your own conclusions. Okay, so this iceberg is seeming a bit trickier than some I've made before. I think it's time to do a first on this channel and call in some outside help. So for the next few entries, I'm going to have a fellow content creator, Extended, help me out. Take it away, Extended.
Alright guys, Russian Crime Dungeon. Now there are a ton of stories on this, but I'm going to focus on the most recent one regarding this topic. And it all kind of starts when a Russian human rights group said it found evidence of a Russian dungeon located in the Chechen capital Grozny, and this is where prisoners were allegedly tortured. Some of these prisoners came forward with their own testimonies of their stories, and one prisoner, Alvady Sadikov, sorry if I butcher that, said they would put your face down on a bench, they would place a board on you and hit it with a hammer, beating your internal organs. And this was to conceal the physical evidence of the torture. He also has a missing ear which he claims was cut off, and as per usual, nothing much came of this, nothing happened to Russia. However, there were several investigations launched by the Chechen prosecutor general, who was very pro-Russian and claimed they found no evidence and therefore closed all investigations. Driver killed JFK. So if you guys have done any research on the JFK assassination, you're probably familiar with this one, but for those who haven't, basically it's the theory that the driver, William Greer, was the one to shoot Kennedy because he disapproved of Kennedy's Catholic faith. And on the flip side, it's also said that he may not have directly played a role in his death, but rather his lack of action allowed for the opportunity of the third and final fatal shot that killed JFK. And had he reacted faster, it's possible JFK could have survived the first two shots. Back to the driver being the actual killer, the critical evidence is missing and it seems almost impossible to me he could have been the shooter. USSR never collapsed, so I think this is talking about what the world would be like if the USSR never collapsed. I couldn't find anything claiming that it actually never collapsed, so ignoring the fact of how they would have avoided collapse, the Cold War likely would have lasted much longer, and it's even possible we would have ended up in a nuclear war, ensuring mutual destruction between superpowers, and perhaps ending the world as we know it. Dream hacking. Now, when I saw this, I was thinking about Inception, and I think that's what this is talking about here. And the idea of dream hacking when this film came out was a major hit with moviegoers and conspiracy theorists as well. Dream hacking is the idea that you can enter someone else's dreams to find information they refuse to give up normally. And if this was or is possible, this would be one of the most valuable skills for intelligence agencies to utilize. Arminius Society. This is a recent religion founded in only the last century, and to sum it up, basically their goal is to work with aliens to advance humanity to the next stage. They believe that we were already intervened with by aliens at an earlier time in our history to advance us to where we are now. They also believe that the government is deliberately covering up contact between the aliens and the humans.
If you like the sound of his voice like I do, that was Extended, who has made a good few Iceberg videos before. I'd recommend checking Extended out. I'm going to link him in the description. Anyway, let's get back to things. Stanley Kubrick was assassinated is a wild and wacky theory, so let's talk about it. So Stanley Kubrick is one of the greatest directors to ever walk the earth. His films spoke about a lot, and in his own way he was a philosopher with access and talent to be able to deliver some of the world's most important pieces of cinematic art. Some think that his art was touching on secret societies, and Eyes Wide Shut, for example, was about elite groups hidden in plain sight within the world in which we live in. He died 6 days after the screening of the final cut, and the day he died happened to be 666 days before 9/11.
Coincidence? I think.
While many believe that the Illuminati had him assassinated, others say that it was the CIA. The man was 70, but even these days, 70 isn't exactly old, although passing isn't really out of the ordinary, so who knows. Alex Jones is Bill Hicks. So if you're not aware of who Bill Hicks or Alex Jones are, Bill Hicks was a legendary Texan comedian who passed away in 1994 of pancreatic cancer. He was 32 at the time. Alex Jones, on the other hand, is a far-right conspiracy theorist and radio host. It's kind of like we have the same job. So this theory stemmed from the fact that there was a 33-minute documentary called Irrefutable Proof that Alex Jones is Bill Hicks. And while the two were born 13 years apart, and I want to say that they have a different eye colour too, they have similar-ish resemblance, maybe? It would be fun, but it's absolutely ludicrous, a mental theory, but a lot of people are weirdly into it. I mean, I know a lot of Alex Jones fans are tinfoil hats, but this one is really a bit of a stretch. I mean, that would either make Alex Jones 60, which he clearly isn't, or 20 when he killed off Bill Hicks, which Bill Hicks is obviously older than 20, so this is a no-go, just on age alone. The Twin Towers were nuked. Okay. What the fuck? I've seen some super conspiracy theories, but this one can be proven, completely and utterly proven wrong. Firstly, we have video evidence. Although some people think that the planes were a hologram, so let's give them the benefit of the doubt for some bizarre reason and say that the footage we've all seen has been altered or it was a hologram, right? There were so many eyewitnesses, it's unbelievable that you could even say that it's a nuke. And for some reason, if that wasn't enough, if you don't believe that, We've seen nukes being dropped before, right? We know the damage that they can cause. New York would be reduced to ashes. Bonkers tinfoil hat theory that has to be a joke, but you know, some people, especially when it comes to 9/11, some people just go crazy with the conspiracy theories. Absolute twaddle. Before we get onto the last one, I just wanted to make a list of a few fun entries that made me giggle. I won't be covering them in this video, maybe a future one, if this one does alright, but these are just a few hilariously stupid conspiracy theories that I saw online. Original Jeff. Micropenis worship. Tommy Wiseau is DB Cooper. North Korea is run by the CIA. Buddha's foreskin, whatever that is. Japan did 9/11. 90% of books are written by one author. Stars are holes in the sky. Apollo 11 landed on the wrong moon? The Vatican's moon base. And my personal favourite, Finland doesn't exist. Okay, we're really scraping the bottom of the barrel for this one. I mean, definitely a weird theory to say the least. Apparently 0.4% of my audience is some sort of liberal myth. Of course it's fake, don't be daft. Finland is just a cover-up for whale fishing. Everyone knows that. Finnish national teams, fake. Helsinki, non-existent. Lapland, not a place. I mean, really, what is Finland? Who are Finnish people? What are their exports? What are their opinions on Brexit? What's their take on the military tactics used in the fall of Constantinople? When I hear back from them about that, then I might be able to take their legitimacy seriously. Okay, that's it from me. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please do subscribe. I'm sure if this video does well, I'd be inclined to do a part 2, so do subscribe because we're building this channel from the ground up and it would be fantastic to have you along for the ride. Anyways, shout out again to Extended for helping me out with this video. Go check out his channel, link in the description. So is the link for my Twitter, Instagram, Gmail, and Patreon. Anyways, let me know down in the comments what you'd like to see me do next, as I'm only 41 videos in and I'm already out of ideas. Thank you for watching.